water and nutrient absorption and this like almost kind of inert media growing. So you can grow anything right here. This is an edible flower. It has like a winter fresh taste to it. And then over here we have, this is mint. This is called stevia. We don't use any herbicides, pesticides, fungicides, anything. Stevia is in sugar. So you get this like really sweet tasting plant. And it just basically tastes like straight sugar.
I have a doubt about plant. What do you use in the base? Because I have made hydroponics before. But we use like just Amcon, but I don't know what the material. This material looks different.
So what we use, we test out a number. We also do a lot of sampling and testing for new companies that have developed new products. So this is something. This is called rapid rooters. And it's this is biodegradable, compostable outside paper, and then inside is coconut coir, which is like the husk of a coconut. But our main stuff that we're using is a biodegradable material called the Oasis Cubes. Did everyone get one? The same thing?
So what was the name of this biodegradable material?
The biodegradable one that we use is called Oasis.
Just like sugar.
How do you spell it?
O-A-S-I-S.
Se la comen. Ah, sí, yo cómetela.
You get some? Did everyone get some?
Yeah.
Okay. And then other things that we're growing, so we don't use any herbicides, pesticides, fungicides, anything like that. But we do get pests because we are open, the roof is open, the side vents are open, so we do get pests and bugs in. So what we do is something called IPM, which is called Integrated Pest Management. So there's a lot of bugs. There's parasitic wasps, which are like these tiny little wasps. There's things called lacewings and different insects that we use that eat the insects that harm our plants, such as aphids or thrips or things like that. So we grow different plants to attract these insects, and we also buy them. And then the plants provide homes for them so that then our plants are safe from harmful insects. So these right here is something called opal peppers, and they're an ornamental pepper, so they grow peppers like this. And you wouldn't really eat it, but this is a pepper. It's like purple on the outside, and then like there's seeds on the inside. Again, it's really seedy, it doesn't get so big. But the flowers attract the parasitic wasps and feed them. So then if there's no aphids in the greenhouse, which we hope there are not, then they still can live in the greenhouse. And then if an aphid comes in, they'll fly in. The way the wasps work, if they lay their eggs in an aphid, the aphid dies, and about 300 of these wasps come out of the aphid. So it's like a self-cycling thing. And that way we don't have to use any harmful chemicals on our plants. It also is much more cost effective. So this is something that we do. And then we test out different plants. I'll show you our test bench in a little bit. And we test out different plants and see how they grow. And if it grows well, we'll bring them to our people that we sell our produce to. And if they like it, then we'll start mass producing it.
Do you install these in the people's
So sometimes we install, but what we mainly do is we grow and then we harvest, and then we sell it to either restaurants or small grocery stores. It does get very hot. So this is one thing that we grow. We're one of the only 3 people that grow in the New York tri-state area. It's called wasabi arugula. So it's a little spicy. It has like this wasabi taste to it.
Arugula.
But it's arugula, yeah. So it's a little spicy.
Awful. Just kidding.
But I think it's better than like the wasabi paste that you might get at a sushi restaurant, because it has almost like a sweet aftertaste to it. More similar to like a wasabi root.
I don't like wasabi.
Interesting.
Okay. right, that we're one of the only people are growing, so that we have, right, just a little economics for you. You have three types of farms: your small commercial farms, your medium commercial farms, and your large commercial farms. A small commercial farm, you're able to work and quickly change over and meet like a niche market. And then a large commercial farm, you're able to like supply thousands of tons of pounds of produce to grocery stores, to supermarkets, etc. And then your medium commercial farms, you're a little too big to fit like a niche market, but you're a little too small to compete with big vendors. And unfortunately, that's where we are. But the way that we look at it is we have, rather than one big farm, we have 5 benches, and each bench is a farm. So then, rather than one medium commercial farm, we're 5 small commercial farms. So that allows us to fill this niche area, look at different products, and be able to have a more competitive stance in the market. Any questions on any of that? Yeah.
Speaking about the system, and in which point you're like reusing the water, or like recovering the water to get the system in cycle? Because I mean, there's like the
yeah, so that's a great question. So right here, the water is coming in and going down these channels, and then you can see over here, as the water goes down the channels, it goes back into these back drains and gutters, and the gutters then take the water back into a reservoir, which we'll see in a second, so that we're reusing all the water that is being watered. So you're saving a lot more water because it's not just going away, it's being reused. So the only water that you really are losing is either in evaporation from the heat or transpiration, which is what the plants are taking up.
How many cycles do you use that water?
It's just continuing to grow. We usually clean out our reservoirs every 6 months. So we're continuing to add water to it, obviously. I'll give you an example. Tomato plants, like a full-grown tomato plant, usually goes through about when it's fruiting and has all its tomatoes on it, is usually going about a gallon of water a day. These plants are much smaller. They're probably using a half a gallon a week. So if we have 2,000 plants, we're still using about 1,000 gallons of water. So we're using a lot of water. However, what we would need if we weren't going to that is probably
hydroponic.
So it's much more water.
And speaking about nutrients, are you using dust nutrients or liquid nutrients for the water? I think that's a very interesting challenge. I want to know how you...
So the way we use water nutrients, I'll show you what they are in 1 second. But that's a good question, so hold on. Okay. Yeah, so this is how we're using our things. Our plants grow about 20% faster than conventional farming, like soil-based farming. So with that 20% faster growth, we're able to have more consistent and more reliable methods of growing. And then also, since we're inside in a greenhouse, we're able to grow year-round, allowing us to have that competitive edge. So maybe in the summertime right now, it's a little more competition, but in December, we're able to have bigger reach and a more high demand because we're able to produce this fresh produce and not have to ship it in from Mexico or California or places like that. It does get very hot up here. We don't have any cooling systems that are mechanical because that's more energy intensive. We use something called passive cooling. So what you can see happens right here is these side vents will open and close, and the roof opens and closes, so that you get this nice circulation of the hot air rising, the cold air coming in, and then also sometimes you get a nice breeze to come in and cool up. We also have these shade curtains, so when it gets too sunny, plants do get sunburned just like humans. These shade curtains will open up and block out some of the sun. Also in the winter time at night they'll open up to keep in the heat because they're a little more insulated than the glass. So both of these methods allow us to have more efficient heating and cooling. The way our heating works is we have a big boiler in the basement that heats water up to about boiling temperature, and then sends it through these tubes right here. And then that heat radiates off the tube and then heating our root zone and plant area. Because up here we don't really care about the heat. We only care about heating our plants because as long as the plants are warm, then we're happy and the plants are happy. So this allows us for a much more effective and specific way of heating without using too much energy costs. It does cost a lot of money to heat in the winter, unfortunately. And other than labor, that's our two biggest costs is energy and cooling. Any questions on the heating cooling?
Is it made out of something special?
Yeah, it's a special type of cloth. It's like a polycarbonate, polyester wool blend. So it's a mixture of cloth. That way it allows some shade and it also allows for insulation. And you can walk over here. You can see this little spinning dial on top of the roof over there. And that is our weather station. So what's happening, and right here behind that man, that's also our indoor weather station. So what's happening is on the outside, it's monitoring the temperature, the sun, the carbon dioxide, the humidity, everything. So it's adjusting out there. So if it's raining or if it senses that it's going to rain in the next couple minutes, all the roof will close so that it doesn't get wet. On the inside, it's measuring, again, the light, the temperature, the heat, all that stuff, so that it knows if it's getting too hot or too sunny in here, what it's going to do outside. So they're communicating with each other through computers, and we put in what we're looking for, our settings and everything, and then from that, it automatically monitors everything, so we don't have to worry, thankfully, about any of that stuff. So if you walk over here, reservoir. This is one of our 4 reservoirs, about 500 gallons. And it's mixing and pumping with water mains so that you see out the ground, oxygen level coming in, and it also just helps get more oxygen to the roots of the plant. In here is a mixture of the water and the nutrients. And over here we have a computer system that's monitoring how much nutrients, how acidic the water is. And then this is our concentrated water-soluble fertilizer. And our computer will measure, and then as it gets lower or higher, it will put in more nutrients or take out some of the nutrients. That allows us for not to have to be constantly monitoring, but knowing our plants are getting exactly what they need. Any questions on it?
So this processes data that the plants deliver.
Yes.
What's the system behind it?
So these are electrical nodes. So it's measuring the electricity that the water is putting out, and then that's how it's based off. It's not 100%. Like I can't tell you how much of each nutrient is in there, but I can tell you roughly based on the ratio we're putting in there.
So the plant exudes electricity, which is captured by the node?
The nutrients electric.
The nutrients.
Electricity. Yeah.
Okay.
So plants only can take up positively charged ions, which is like if you're thinking about chemistry, you have your cations and anions. So plants only can take up anions so that we know based on the cation amount how much is going in. Any questions?
And then, sorry, the data is analyzed by this computer. Do you have any other software which analyzes?
So this computer just records it, and then we have a big computer that takes it all into Excel, and then we analyze the data from that.
So it's a lot of AI and data analysis as well.
Yeah, partly, yes.
How much times a day or a week you check the...
We check it 3 times a day. And then we calibrate it.
So here you have nutrients, and the computer detects that the nutrient level is like low. It makes it automatically.
Yeah.
Take the nutrients, put it in the water.
Correct.
We're using dots or liquid nutrients?
So we're using water-soluble fertilizer. So we get it dry and then we dilute it with water. We mix it with water.
Okay. I think that every plant has like different specific nutrients that they need.
No, so most plants need a general amount depending on what type, if it's a leafy green, if it's a fruit, if it's a vegetable, if it's a root. It requires maybe a different ratio, but they all require 12 basic nutrients.
Okay, thank you very much.
So if we head over here,